This is my second time filming this, of course. You know what the video is, you clicked on it. Today we're doing my 2025 Make 9, and if you are unfamiliar with the term Make 9, I think it's like an Instagram crafting thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Basically, you just pick 9 patterns that you're hoping to make in a year, and I think it's a fun way to kind of just collect your thoughts a little bit. I don't know. Usually, traditionally, these videos are made in January for the new year, but if you recall, I was in fact crashing out for the first 2 months of the year. So now that we're kind of post that situation, I feel like I can actually sit down and talk to you about the future without panicking. So that's exciting for me. So yeah, today we have my 2025 Make 9. I posted this on my Instagram on February 13th. And today is March 5th. So it's been almost a month since I made this post, and a few things have already changed, like in that 1 month period. I want to talk about that, and just also about like how things like this and like New Year's resolutions and stuff are so subject to change throughout the year. And like, I don't know if it's super productive to make these things and then just be like, I said I was going to do this, so I'm going to do that. Like I don't know if that's really useful for anybody. So yeah, I already do have a few things I've changed my mind on here, and we're going to talk about it. Let's get started. First things first, we have the Dagmar jacket from Petite Knit. And I said I wanted to make this in Lion Brand Fisherman's Wool in the color Nature's Brown. Since making this post, Joanne Fabrics, pour one out for Joanne, has gone out of business. I think you can get Lion Brand elsewhere, but in my mind, like, it's just so associated with Joanne's that I'm having a bit of a mental block there. I also think Cascade 220 was on my radar for this, the non-superwash version, obvi. So yeah, I'm hoping for like a rustic kind of wool for this jacket, and I'm really excited about this one. I feel like I've been seeing all of the girlies making the Dagmar jacket as of late, and it has made me want one. I have been influenced. It's just like a really timeless cardigan, I think. And as I think more about the year and like my life going forward, I think I want to focus on making and knitting things that are going to be, I don't know how to say it, that are going to like transition well throughout my life, I guess. Because obviously when I'm knitting something, I want to have it forever. So I need to like make sure that the things that I'm making are practical for more than just me being in my early 20s and being silly and goofy. You know? Does that make any sense, or am I just rambling? Probably that. But anyway, I feel like this is one that's super timeless, and I really like honeycomb cable. I've done honeycomb cable on a cardigan before, and I actually had a lot of fun making that cardigan. I'm hoping this is a similar experience where it's just a good time. I envision this in the summer, on the beach, cool evening, and I think that's going to keep me going. Dagmar jacket, I do intend to make this one still. Next up, we have Dad's Sweater from Emily Curtis, and this one I said I wanted to make in La Bien-Aimée Confetti in the color Yellow Brick Road. If you've been here before, you know this yarn is kind of infamous on this channel because I placed this very expensive yarn order right after Christmas, and then the next day I got laid off. So this is her. It's such a good yarn though. Like, this is just probably my favorite yarn I have ever bought, and I'm very excited to work it up into something. A little bit of lore behind this yarn. And I got this idea in my head because La Mercerie has a sample of Dad's sweater in La Bien-Aimée Yellow Brick Road, the worsted version without the confetti, and I tried it on once and I loved it. Ever since I tried that sweater on, probably like 2 years ago at this point, I have not stopped thinking about it. So when La Bien-Aimée announced the confetti version of Yellow Brick Road, I was like, take my money. And then she took my money, and I was like, oh shit, don't take my money. And then it was too late. So here we are with this yarn. And I, for one, can't wait to make this sweater. As treacherous as the road has been, I do think this is going to be a really lovely sweater. And it kind of like marries the ideas of my inclination to have so much color and fun in my pieces, and also like this idea that I have of timelessness and longevity. I feel like this in particular really like meshes those ideas together in a way that I find is really beautiful. Dare I say inspiring? I'm kidding. Anyway, next up we have tomato sweater. That is such a hard pivot. I'm looking for things that are timeless and then I'm like, tomato sweater. Such a pivot, but I love it. Okay. Is tomato print not a neutral? I don't know. Last I checked it was. This is the tomato sweater from Studio Clara. And I said I wanted to make this in Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino in the colors navy blue, pomegranate, and pea shoots. Looking back on that, I do think I will amend that to probably drops, just because of the whole no job thing. So I do think that is going to take a little bit of a shift over to a more budget-friendly yarn, especially because like this isn't one that's super practical long term. I mean, I maintain that tomatoes are a neutral, but you know. So yeah, I do still really like the idea of the navy blue background though, with the red and the green kind of popping. I don't know, which is weird because I kind of famously don't like navy blue, but for some reason in this particular instance, it's really calling to me. So I think this is going to be my dipping my little toesies into navy. We'll see how I feel about it. I don't know why I've always had such a vendetta against navy blue, but it's been like my entire life. Like I've never liked navy. We'll find out. We'll see. Oh, with the tomato sweater, I didn't realize when I first kind of fell in love with that pattern that the tomatoes are in fact duplicate stitched, which is going to be a bit of a hurdle for me. I've never done like that much duplicate stitching before. I've duplicate stitched a couple of color work mistakes and that's pretty much it. I would prefer it to be intarsia, but alas, that's just not how it was written. So I either get over my duplicate stitch fear or I don't make the tomato sweater. I don't know. We're gonna see how that ends up. And maybe like I'll do the duplicate stitch and then I'll be like, oh my god, I'm never doing intarsia again. I could really enjoy that technique and I just haven't given myself the chance to try it. So that one could go either way. I also do have a vision of myself in my garden tending to my actual tomatoes in that sweater in the summer with my Levi's dad shorts on that I miss so much. That's another one where I'm like, God, I have to fulfill that vision now, don't I? The prophecy must be. Okay, next up we have the Olga jacket from Petite Knit. This is another one I feel like has been everywhere lately, and I am not immune to cool girl knitting propaganda, okay? I don't think any of us are. I said I wanted to make this in Sandusgarn Purgant in the colors Spiced Apple and Almond Tweed. That has taken a slight pivot, so I still am going to be using Purgant, but I saw on Instagram, I'll put the post here, somebody made this sweater in Purgant confetti, in the Tutti Frutti rainbow confetti with ochre, and I saw that and I was like, oh shit, that's one of those things that I'm gonna see and I'm not gonna get it out of my little ADHD brain until I have it on my body. And sure enough, a week later, I had not stopped thinking about it. So I already have a sweater quantities of the rainbow tweed from Purgant. I believe this is there's two versions of the Tutti Frutti tweed. One of them is natural and then the other one is white, and I think this is the natural one. Don't quote me on that or anything. The color number is 1044. If you were curious. So this is a yarn I picked up in Denmark, got a sweater's quantity. I was going to use it for an Esther jacket, but I've kind of cooled on that pattern a little bit. And then I saw that post. The fates have aligned and spoken to me via this Instagram post. I was telling you a story. I went to find the ochre because obviously I have this yarn, I need the yellow. I look up Purgant ochre. It's discontinued. How rude is that? First of all. Second of all, how dare they? Third of all, I found it on eBay. So of course I bought it, obviously, because like what if I can't find it again on eBay when I'm ready to make this? So that's on the way. I'm really hoping I didn't get scammed because that would be a real blow to morale. But in theory, this should be happening soon and I'm very excited about this. I do have quite a few cardigans on this list, which is going to be a problem because, again, if you recall, my incessant wrist pain kind of started last year when I was making my cardigan number 8. So ever since that, I've been a little bit weary of cardigan-age. Sure. I've been kind of trying not to make cardigans, but I just love them. And personally, I'm really banking on carpal tunnel science advancing in my lifetime, which it should. You know, in theory, at some point they should just put robot wrist on me and call it good. I'm really banking on that in a way that I think my physical therapist brother probably doesn't agree with, but when have I ever listened to my brother? Never. So I'm not gonna start now because he's a doctor or whatever. Come on. Anyway, next up on my Make 9, we have the stripe pipe sweater from Veronica Lindbergh. We all know this pattern, and listen, this is one that I'm having a little bit of trouble with. I originally wanted to make this in the Sandisgarn Sunday that was used in the sample, so I have all of the colors for this. I got all of them in Denmark. I mention that because yarn is so much cheaper in Denmark that, like, when I'm saying I got all these sweater quantities, I got them in Denmark. So really, I would have been losing money, you know? So I have the yarn for this in the exact colors that I wanted, the same as the sample. You know, I feel like I've been seeing a lot of stripe pipes recently over the past 6 months, and I feel like it's maybe just like a little bit played out at this point. And so, like, I don't want to cast it on because I'm a little bit sick of it. It's not anything wrong with the pattern, and like I do still like it a lot. I feel like I'm kind of bored of it. If I'm bored of it before I even start it, that's not a real good sign that I will enjoy the process of making this. But on the other hand, my dumbass already bought the yarn. So that's going to be something I have to kind of internally battle over. I don't know. I feel like I need to make it because I have the yarn and because I have really liked it for quite some time, but I'm just a little bit bored of it. I don't know, guys. My tea is still entirely too hot. That's my stripe pipe debacle. Feel free to weigh in the comments. Next up, we have the Tulip Loop sweater from Other Loop. I really need to set this down because I feel like I'm just like conducting an orchestra with my Apple Pencil, which has got to be annoying, so I'm sorry about that. The Tulip Loop sweater from Other Loops. This is another one where I feel like I can't decide if this is something I actually want to make or if I just really fell in love with the back detail. You know how it goes like I'll put a picture. I have been really drawn to that from the time I saw it, but I just can't decide what color I want to make in this and what yarn I want to use. I've seen so many versions that I think are really beautiful, but for some reason, like, I just can't decide what I would want to make it in. I kind of feel like maybe that's me trying to like subconsciously tell myself not to make it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm a little bit worried that's what that is. But I still think it's really cool. Like, it has that, I think it's called a horseshoe cable that kind of makes it look like tulips. And I think that's really pretty, but I don't know, maybe I'm trying to like subconsciously tell myself something. Maybe I'm also just over analyzing myself, which is probably true. I don't know. Next up, we have the Cardigan number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and boy oh boy is this one on the way. Happy to report I finished my first sleeve this morning, so she is well on her way. Sleeve right here. Doesn't really look like much right now because the front is curling in on itself, but I have a very exciting update to tell you guys. I have statements to retract, actually. Is more accurate. I have said many times that I don't like Italian tubular bind off. At one point I did an Italian tubular bind off and I swore it off forever. I think there's like actual written text of me saying this. I will never do that again in my life. Happy to report I did the entire tubular bind off. I owe this change of heart entirely to Brooklyn Tweed's incredible work of cinematography that is their tubular bind off instructional video. This video changed my life. And like, I'm saying that as a joke, but also I'm not joking. This is the single best tutorial for Italian bind off I have ever seen. And I've looked at many because this is a technique I have struggled with, okay? In this video, they condense it into 2 steps instead of 4, because it's usually like 4 motions that you have to do to bind off 2 stitches. They combine it into 2 steps, which obviously like halves the time it takes. It looks cleaner than the other way I've done it, which was the 4-step, really annoying. I feel like it looks pretty damn good, actually. I'm kind of proud of this, so you're gonna look at it. I've been converted, okay? I retract my statements. We all grow as humans, okay? Give me a break. Watch that video if you have any issues with tubular bind off. It will change your life. I cannot stress that enough. Thank you, Brooklyn Tweed. I'll have it linked. I want that video on my tombstone, actually. It's that good. I feel like I might be overselling it a little bit, but also I'm not. So that's my cardigan number 9. And for that, I am using Haiku Simply Natural in Slate Gray, held with Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in Thunder Cloud. I feel like this one has kind of pushed me on my trajectory of wanting to focus on more practical pieces, as I mentioned. I think when I started this, I was like, oh, I'm gonna wear this a lot, probably for a long time, and that's kind of made me want to make more things like that, even though they might be like a little bit more boring, you know? There's value in boring things, okay? I have always said that. Next up, I have Songbird mittens from Erica Huser. I think I started these probably in December, and this is a disaster of, don't look at these, okay, they're a mess. But here's how far I got on those. And for this project, I'm using Handmade by Haley Bailey's Classic Sock in the color Mushroom and Luna Moth. And I really love this color combo. I love how it's working up, but my problem with these, because it's a one size pattern and the size is equivalent to a women's medium, I was really concerned that it would be too big on me because I have pretty small hands. So I went down like 2 needle sizes to a 2mm needle. And I think the pattern calls for like 3mm or maybe like a 2.75. I don't remember. I went down a few needle sizes is my point. And now I think it's too small. This is one with such intense color work that I don't want to have it be anything less than perfect. So I do think I am gonna have to frog these and start these over. And also, like, I just need to recake these so badly. This makes me so anxious. So maybe it's not the worst thing in the world that I'm gonna have to start these over. But yeah, I think this one's probably gonna be shelved until next fall or winter because, to be so for real, I don't really have any motivation to make mittens right now. It's March. So we'll probably be seeing this again next fall. I am very excited about these still. I think they're hella whimsical. And I love that. Someday they will be mine, but that day is not near. Lastly, on my Make 9, we have the Bifruca pullover from Teti Lutzak. This is one that I also can't figure out what yarn I want to use for. I think I want it to be like sage green and white, but that is also because, and the whole reason that I had this on my list to begin with, is because I saw somebody at Flock wearing this sweater in sage green and white, and it was so stunning that I saw them from across the venue and I chased them down, and I was like, I need the deets on your sweater. This is incredible. So if you are the person who I harassed about this pattern at Flock, let me know. Hey, a great sweater. I really, really loved it on that person. But I'm like, is it going to be the most practical for me in actuality? I don't know. It's a really cool pattern, and I think the construction is probably very unique. Is that going to be very flattering on me? I don't know. Is that going to be something I reach for a lot? Probably not. There's considerations here that I think I hadn't put much thought into when making, well, I mean, I put thought into making this. I sort of have developed this mindset over the past 2 months of the practicality thing. And that's not to say we're not gonna have fun still, okay? We're still gonna have fun. But I don't know. I wanna like really think through what I'm making before I make it. I am kind of an impulsive person, so I've been known to just get an idea and then be like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do, without really fleshing it out. So I wanna try to work against that a little bit. My impulsivity is something that I think is kind of, it's one of those things about myself that like I don't think I would change because it has brought me a lot of good and a lot of fun, but it's also something that I would like to develop in a way that kind of works for me a little bit more. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm psychoanalyzing myself on the pod again, but I want to like really take a moment before I cast something on and be like, okay, is this something that I still think is going to be valuable to spend my time on? Because my time is about to become a lot more limited. By the way, quick little life update. I got into my grad school program, which, to be honest, I was not expecting. It's an incredible program and one that I felt like I truly had no business even applying to, let alone getting in. So the imposter syndrome is off the charts. Next level. So bad. But I got in and I'm starting that at the end of May. So I really only have like 2 months off here to kind of decompress from working and get myself back into school mode. So that'll be interesting. So basically what I'm saying is my time is going to be more limited than I would like for knitting. So I want to be focusing on pieces that I think are worth said time, you know? And that's not to say like things that are fun and silly aren't worth your time, because I think those things very much so are worth your time. I don't know, guys. I'm talking in circles, and what am I not, though? I don't know if I'm gonna make this pullover, but I do really think it's a beautiful piece. That was my make 9. Did I have other thoughts to add here? I think I did. Oh yeah, for some reason I didn't put the Miles shirt jacket on here when that's something I have yarn for and have been wanting to make for a long time. So again, I just want to reiterate that the make 9 format is not perfect. It's just meant to be a fun little creative exercise, I think. I am excited to have this to look back on next year, or at the end of the year or whatever, to see what I actually did end up making. I think that'll be really interesting, and I hope Maddie of the future is doing well. The other thing is you just have no idea like what a year is going to bring in general, life-wise and crafting-wise. It's a lot of unknowns when you're going into a new year. So anyway, I'm glad I kind of ruminated on this for a couple months and have really thought out my intentions. I sound like a yoga teacher, but it's true. Like, I'm glad I have taken time to think about this and kind of plan in a way I haven't done in the past. And I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. So as always, thank you for being here. Thank you for putting up with me and my antics. Would love to hear what's on your make 9 for the year. You guys know I love chit-chatting with you in the comments, so feel free to meet me down there. And like this video if you liked it. Please don't dislike it if you disliked it. I will cry. Kidding, not really. Subscribe, perhaps? I don't know. It's up to you, but it'd be cool. Okay, outros are hard, okay? Bye.